Hey, everybody. Michelle is here, and I wanted to give some instructions for those of you who understand the purpose of our mission for entertainment purposes only. Today is 3/6/2023. Now, I'm going to be talking in visuals, so you're going to see my hands moving quite a bit. So just follow with me. Don't be concerned about anything else. Just follow with me, and then at the end, I'll tell you more things. All right, so consider for a moment that we have three planets. We have planet one, we have planet two, and we have planet three. Okay, now presently we are all on planet two. We're all on planet two. Now, planet two is on the verge of being destroyed completely. Okay, now what we're going to do, um, those of you who are familiar with our purpose and our mission, is um, by the dawning of the age of Aquarius, February 3rd, 2029, those of you who understand, like I said, the importance of this mission will have raised your consciousness level, and it will be restored to the level necessary to be if things were all equal and all things were neutralized. In order to get there, this is going to be an unconscious thing. You're not going to even recognize that it's even happening, okay? Because creational is all energy. You're not going to even recognize that this is happening. So we're going to be able to manage to raise our level to a respectable and necessary consciousness level, while at the same time, those individuals or personalities that are responsible for the continued battles and destruction, the conquering and the destroying of the planet, will be reversing in their evolution. Okay, they're going to be reversing, and they're not going to even recognize they're reversing because everything is going to be done unconsciously. Okay, so, and we are not going. You're not going to even know that it's happening. You're going to be doing as I say on a daily basis. We have to meditate on a daily. There's no other shortcuts. That's all gone. So meditating daily. Okay, so what does that mean? You're gonna have to meditate daily. Now, if you need to, uh, uh, those of you that are familiar with meditation, you're gonna have to start incorporating meditation in every step that you take. So it's gonna be a part of your life. Okay, and you're gonna, in other words, you're gonna, no matter what you're doing, you're meditating. Okay, those of you that are experiencing meditation, it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're washing dishes, whether you're walking, whether you're even talking, making love, you're going to be meditating. And those are the advanced meditators. And of course, the others that are raising their level, and you're going to get to that point as well, where you don't need to necessarily sit into a position and focus on an object or have a concentration, a focus is, and that's why you have to sit in your lotus position and your feet south, your head, in a northern position, and make sure you get a compass out. If you have a compass, and make sure you are actually south and actually north, because we have shift. Okay, because of our overpopulation, it has shifted us, and you need to figure that out and find out where exactly is north. I do meditation most of the time in everything that I do. Okay, because I am an experienced meditator. But every now and then I'll sit down, sit my ass down somewhere and meditate and do what I got to do. All right, so daily. It has to be daily meditation. No ifs, ands, or but. Okay, you can, even if you're doing 5 minutes, that's meditation. Keep that in mind. But you need to. It's no thought. That's the key. No thought on a fixed concentration. Okay. All right. So, so we're going to continue to raise our consciousness level. So by the time of February 3rd, 2029, those of you who have follow these instructions, because it's all free will too, by the way. Everything's free will. You would have raised your consciousness level to a standard that's necessary to allow you to go to the next step. Now, what does that mean? I'll explain it in a minute. So, again, and so what's going to happen with all of those other spirit forms which is energy that is circulating the planet, those spirit forms are actually at a extremely low level. They're at the prehistoric level. So eventually they're going to go to the number one. They're going to be going over to number one planet, and eventually just kind of circulate that planet forever. That all depends on the people on number one. And let me tell you about the people on number one. Again, they're going to be essentially unconsciously banishing themselves from planet two, and reversing back to planet one. And that can be carriers too. Just to make that very clear. If you do not raise your consciousness level by daily meditation on a fixed point, eventually at some point, hopefully by February 3rd, 2029, you will be able to be meditating in everything that you do. Everything is a meditation, meaning no thought. No thought. That's the purpose. No thought on a fixed object. Whether you're washing dishes, you're gonna be washing dishes. If you're looking into your wife's eyes, you're gonna be, the conversation is gonna be just like that. Okay, a fixed conversation on what's happening, and all this and that. All right. And so during the course of all of that, on an energy level, okay, there are going to be billions upon billions of people reversing back and ending up on planet one, which is like a um, it's I mean it's before the dinosaurs actually, or they'll probably be with the dinosaurs. That'll be determined later. So they're going to be reversing back, and it's going to be all unconscious. They're not going to even recognize it. They're going back. They're not going to even recognize it. Um, so, and what's going to happen too is, as they're banishing themselves, if they continue to populate the planet with babies, in other words, continue to have, because you can make love without having to be procreating. Does anybody understand that? You can make love, have sex, be intimate, however you word it, without procreating. And that's the point. We're going to have to get to a point, those of us that are familiar with the mission, where we are not procreating anymore for the rest of our uh, uh, life, life on this, as this personality. Okay, before, and I'll explain it again. Those of us that are familiar with the mission will not procreate and bring in any children onto this planet too. Because if you do, you're going to slowly start reversing back to planet one. Okay? Again, those of you that are familiar with the mission and know the seriousness that we're into with almost 10 billion people on a planet that I'll come back to. Okay, I'll say it. This planet should only hold 500,000 people. I'm sorry, 500 million, half a billion, no more than a half a billion people, no more than a half a billion people. Do you understand why I say we're in serious, serious trouble? Now, so those of you familiar with the mission, and you know your responsibilities, and you know what you're accountable for, if you procreate from here on out, especially by the before the dawning of the age of Aquarius, February 3rd, 2029, you will slowly as well be reversing yourself back to planet one. Okay, now what's going to happen as well, during this process, during this lifetime, during our lifetimes, however long we live, the sooner you get yourself, and so the thing is, you're not going to even know that anything's happening to you. Okay, you're not going to know that at all. But it's a cause and effect. Remember, it's a cause and effect, and so it'll eventually reveal itself. Okay, whether you're doing it or not. Like I said, this is free will. Nobody's coercing you. Nobody's persuading you. Nobody's forcing you. No one's trying to influence you. These instructions are free will. Now, by the dawning of the age of Aquarius, it's going to be revealed who's done what they're supposed to do anyway. So, and if you have not, you're just going to have to go back to planet one and work your way out of that the best way you can. There will be no one coming to help you, and that's the whole point on planet one. Planet one, these people are going to be on their own forever, and they're going to have to work out what they want to do and how they want to handle themselves. But each time that they don't recognize their responsibilities and accountabilities, they're just going to keep reversing themselves, and going backwards. Okay, and that means going all the way back, trillions of years if necessary. And then eventually they're going to be absorbed into the black hole and formed into another energy. Okay, so so eventually, like I said, planet two is going to, on a unconscious level, it's not going to even be a visual. Nobody's going to even recognize that it's slowly lowering uh, the population to a respectable level, which in turn will cause Earth to slowly repair itself. Okay? Earth will slowly repair itself. And the people on planet two will stay out of will not interfere in that. Okay? You may not even recognize that is happening. Okay? Everything's going to be energy, and you're not going to even know what's happening. But again, your responsibilities are simple. You just need to meditate. Okay? And if you can't handle that, you're going to be reversing back and eventually back on planet one. Now, so by the dawning of the age of Aquarius, I'm going to give more information on this, but by the dawning of the age of Aquarius, in a energy level, the population will have reduced to the respectable level of a half a billion people. Now, and the people that are reversing back and going back in time, actually going back. That's why I say stay out of the past unless you need to be there. You don't need to be in the past. These are for the time travelers. They know what I'm saying. If you need some information, you can get it from Planet One, but it's dangerous to do so because they have degenerated so vastly. You can get yourself stuck there, and that's what's happening with time travelers. We're stuck. That's the whole idea. I mean, that's the whole, and so that's why I said we'll eventually find paradise. But these are our responsibilities, and essentially this is what we signed up for. Okay, we signed up for this, and we may not know this. We will eventually, but we signed up for this. So so the time travelers. That's why I say stay out of the past, and that's what Planet One is. Okay, we want to stay in the now, which is two, and then I'll explain Planet Three in a minute. So, again, um, meditate daily. Uh, uh, the new people at meditation, you're gonna have to get to a level of a fixed point meditation, which is no thought, and I mean, and the results will show up for itself because you'll become more calmer. You'll know it because you're calming down and you're becoming clear, and you can hear better, you can see better, and you will feel better. 100% feel better. And reverse all this other stuff that you've taken on via your thoughts, because it's all there. Everything's there. And that's why I say you got to empty your thoughts of all of this, whatever just swirling around in there and stuck. It's stuck there. And that's rumination too, by the way. That's a rumination. So, overthinking. So, um, overthinking. Yep. So, the simple instructions are you have to meditate daily. Okay, at least 5 times, and as you're comfortable and you have to take the time for it. And like I said, the cause and effect by February 3rd, 2029 will reveal who's done it and who's not. Isn't that easy and simple? And then what's going to happen is you're going to be reversing back and eventually in on planet one. Again, you have to keep in mind if you're reversing back to planet one, you're going to be competing with 127 billion other people to reincarnate on planet one. 127 billion, not to mention the billion that are being reversed back onto planet one. Does that make sense? So that means you'll be competing with 127 billion people just to reincarnate to complete your evolutionary requirement, because it's a requirement. You can't get away from it. And if you don't do that by a certain time, you're just gonna keep reversing and reversing and reversing. Like I said, you're gonna go into this. You're gonna crash into the sun, and eventually into a black hole, which is nothing more, nothing less, but just energy that has other dead planets there, other dead stars, everything else, and then eventually, it'll become a big bang again. But let's not worry about that. So, and again, make sure you make sure you're on that electromagnetic field. Because I think, I mean, like, well, I don't think we have shift. And like, I don't make too much of a big deal out of it because I'm an advanced meditator. So I don't make too much of a deal about whether I'm south or north, but beginners have to. You have to. So you have to make sure that you are directly south. Your feet, if you're in the lotus, whatever is comfortable, but your feet south, your head north on the that way. But you need to know that you are on the electromagnetic field, so that's why you need a compass, okay, to make sure, because we have shift. And did anybody notice that? See, and that's what energy. See, nobody. If it's not here, you're not going to recognize anything that's happening. And the people that are banishing themselves, or even eliminating themselves, they're not going to even know that they're going back in time. They're not. They're not going. It's going because it's all going to be unconscious, and they're not going to even recognize that in a certain amount of time they're going to be back on planet one. And like I said, competing with the over 127 billion people just to reincarnate, because the people on two, you're gonna I'm not sure how long you're gonna be reincarnating on two before you go to three. Now, planet three, that's where we need to go. That's where we'll eventually end up, and that's probably a next lifetime thing. In other words, when we reincarnate, what we're gonna do is we're not gonna know it, but when we reincarnate from two, we're gonna eventually be on three. Our energy is gonna be go forward. We're gonna go forward in our evolution. Does that make sense? About 1,000 years. We're going to be forwarding our evolution about 1,000 years, and we're going to reincarnate back on three. I mean, we're going to reincarnate and we're going to end up on three. And three is going to be, for those of you, like I said, who have followed instructions, meditate daily, control your thoughts, get them to where you are at a no thought, where you can sense and receive information, so you'll know what to do. Now, you don't need to be announcing this to everybody. You don't need to be talking to everybody about it. If you can help people, help them. But the main thing is help yourself. Help yourself. And so you eventually reincarnate on three. And three is going to be set up perfectly again for us to come in there and do what the hell we were supposed to do from the beginning. Okay? Isn't that a fucking great plot for a damn movie? Man, if y'all don't take this shit. All right, so I'll talk more about this later. And if you have any questions, you know how to get questions to me. Everybody knows how to get questions to me that I can pick up. How about that? Sometimes I miss, because there's so much going on in the atmosphere. Like I said, our thoughts are crashing into each other, so I may miss something, and I will miss something. Okay, I'm not going to be trying to take on a whole lot. I'm going to take on as much as I want to. But remember, there's other people that are aware of this mission, so they should be picking up some of these thoughts going through or questions going through the air and answer them in their way of, from their voice, how they express what they know from their own voice. They're not going to be talking in quotes. Okay. They're not going to be regurgitating. Okay. They're going to properly answer you in their material as they have created it based on the teaching or the mission, and that should make sense. So that's that. Those are the instructions. So use it. You know, create the movies, write the books, get your asses going. See, I was gonna say some other stuff, but you know, this is it, and this will be. This has to be completed by February 3rd, 2029. There is no, yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna be on planet one, and then you're gonna wake up and wondering, why am I here again? And you're going to be in a constant, continual, ongoing deja vu. And chances are it's going to be too much for you to compete with 127 billion people. You need to consider that. 127 billion people, and it rises. Some of those 127 billion people may be able to come back to 2 and eventually end up on planet 3, but they're going to have to work extremely hard for that once they reincarnate. And if they can, like I said, everybody's competing. Does that make sense? Some will still stay here on 2. Maybe not all of 127 billion people will go over to planet 1 or eventually end up on planet 1. But it all depends on if they're following instructions as well and do what they're supposed to do. Because every planet needs a healthy amount of spirit forms circulating it so that they can, once it's time to reincarnate. Because when we're reincarnating, we're supposed to stay in the when we die, it's called going into the beyond. Okay, and the beyond is just like another stage of development. So in other words, it's all going to be energy. It's all going to be your spirit form, because each time you die, all the information that's stored in your subconscious, because everything's stored there, will be evaluated and uh, dissected to see if it's valuable to hold on to. In other words, it's a process. When you die, it's a process. When you die, you don't just go away. There's a process to that. You have, so, and I'll explain that later, or somebody else can. Someone else can. You need to revamp the stuff that you already have out about all this stuff, and make it clear and understandable to people, and get it out. Okay, start participating more, some of you. And get off the sidelines and stop being cheerleaders. Now, let's see. So that's going to be enough for right now. This is enough of an assignment, honey. Enough of it. Okay, and I'm going to say that these instructions are, this is it, and it is so. So I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love, and I'll come back at some point.